Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are previewing Week 7 in college football, and right now we're going to talk with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com about the very, very interesting TCU Baylor matchup. Joe Duffy, thanks for being back with us.
All right, thank you, Peter.
All right, Joe Duffy, you had a big week in our videos last week. That makes 3 out of 4 huge weeks in our videos. Your record is great overall, long-term in our videos, so give a well-earned plug for OffshoreInsiders.com for you what you have to say about TCU Baylor.
Yeah, no, it's true. I guess anyone who's really concerned about somebody who wins year after year, most of them are already long-term clients of mine. But those of you who are worried about who's going to have some big plays this weekend, my college football game of the year, and it's totally legitimate, we'll explain why in the analysis when you buy the play. And I still get a lot more plays, but I know the metrics point towards our famed bubble burst theory applying quite a few times this weekend, but I still want to run some other parameters and make sure they're collaborated. Not everyone are we going to blindly bet, but it's going to be a big weekend at offshoreinsiders.com.
All right, TCU Baylor is what we're going to discuss right now. This is an interesting game, right? Now, I talked to Brent from BetDSI last week, and TCU was a very sharp side last week against Oklahoma. And Brent also told me that some of his sharpest guys bet TCU both to win the Big 12 and to win the national championship. That was a game that they had circled, obviously, that they expected TCU to win, and that did turn out to be a winning pick for them. And I didn't have the balls to bet TCU last week. Here, they opened against Baylor, right? Baylor's 4-0-1 against the spread, but TCU's 4-0 against the spread, and Baylor actually struggled a little bit against Texas last week. So, the line opened TCU plus 10, and I thought, all right, Sharp's probably going to be on TCU here. I bet TCU at plus 10. Then it quickly went to 11, and I said to myself, oh, man, I'm a square. I'm not seeing something. Now it's down to 8 or 8.5. Now I'm saying, damn it, I should have bet more. Baylor minus 8 or 8.5. Now I'm thinking, though, that maybe that initial bump up to 11 was not a mistake. Maybe that was early sharp action, and that this action that pushed the TCU line down was maybe a little bit more obvious action, a little bit less sharp action. Maybe Baylor's a play here. What do you think, Joe Duffy?
This is one of those cases, I had alluded in some of the other videos that we've done this week that literally every single objective bad beat, I was on the wrong side of last week, but among my winners, because it was pretty solid, where the underdog won convincingly straight up, was underdog TCU. So awesome. I did have them last week. But this is two of the better, as I like to call, margin of cover. That's what I called it for years now. People call it sweat barometer. Two of the better teams spread-wise in the country based on the metrics I use, where TCU's covering by an average of 9.2, TCU by an average of 9.6, Baylor by an average of 9.2. But it's really a tough spot. And I've told you that in recent years, I've weighed more and more heavily, more so in college basketball and college football, how scheduling dynamics truly are very important in handicapping. And maybe for the first 15 years in the business and of gambling, I didn't really weigh them enough, but I do now. And TCU, that is off of such a big win over Oklahoma, really a tough back-to-back situation. Remember, this is TCU's first road test. Their only other road game was to SMU. Now, granted, they're not really going to be traveling all that far. I think it's only like 82 miles, I believe it is. But still, they're going to be playing in enemy territory against a partisan crowd, against a Baylor team that is absurdly good at home. And conversely, this is Baylor's first home game in a month. So they're going to have all the home field advantage. The fact that they've been tested on the road and they're playing their first home game in a while, I think this is, as much as any game this year, the scheduling really and the spot really says that I'm going to go with Baylor in this one.
Baylor minus 8. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, only because I was thinking, that first move, Baylor minus 10 to Baylor minus 11, that was not an accident. What caused that? And I'm thinking that was, sharp action, that and the move since then was much more explainable. I can understand that. That first move surprised me. It had to have been sharp action, and probably significant sharp action. All right, so my only question is then, Baylor's game against Texas last week. In our videos, you gave Baylor as one of your picks. That wound up being a winner. But for a long time, it was kind of tight, and Baylor just kind of like pulled away late. Does their performance against Texas concern you at all?
No, Texas is a big rivalry game, and Texas had been really adjusting to all their suspensions and the Charlie Strong system. So I can understand how they kept it close. That could have made Texas's season. I think that they would have had a nice emotional advantage before the talent won out. And this is one of the reasons why I don't like to make those futures bets, because I even said I thought that Baylor may have been a pretty good go against this year, because last year they had all the motivation to run the score up. And this year they know that if they're undefeated, conference champions, they'll certainly go to the playoffs. So I thought they didn't have that motivation this year, but it looks like clearly Baylor has zero compunction to destroy teams just like they did last year. So the fact that I don't get married to futures picks enabled me to make that adjustment. So no, I think that Baylor certainly still is big into making huge statements. And honestly, if this game were played last week, it would have been much tougher. But because TCU, I quote Chris Collingsworth, he said, he's of course a former player and a broadcaster. He said, sometimes it's tougher to recover from big wins than it is tough losses. And I agree with him here. And this is really a tough spot for TCU, tough back-to-back situation.
Awesome analysis. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Interesting, ballsy pick taking Baylor, currently -8, is widely available. Thanks so much, Joe.
The SBR Network offers free sports picks and game breakdowns, big money free betting contests year-round, a real-time Vegas-style odds monitoring service, and much more. So come see for yourself. To stay updated on SBR news and promotions, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+, and do be sure to subscribe to the Sportsbook Review YouTube channel to catch all our daily sports shows.